The Indianapolis Colts through 4 weeks are 2-2 right now. Colts obviously lose a heartbreaker in overtime to the Rams after overcoming a 23-point deficit in the first half. And Derek, I wanted to talk about a specific player that we've been talking about. Really has been the focal point of the offseason, the focal point of this season, and a lot of people would say is going to be the focal point moving forward, and that's quarterback Anthony Richardson. Now, again, Anthony Richardson, Derek, so far, he's had some moments. He's had some really good moments. He's had some not good moments. He's had a little bit of everything. He's had a mixed bag of results through really, I would say, 2 games, basically. Anthony Richardson has played. He obviously got hurt at the end of the week 1 game against Jacksonville, didn't finish it out, and then had the concussion in week number 2. And so really, you think about that, it's really been a little over 2 games that Anthony Richardson's been able to play, 9 quarters, if you will, that Richardson's been able to play so far. And Derek, the stats haven't necessarily always been the most pretty, right? Anthony Richardson right now, right in the middle of 50 completion percentage, about 55 completion percentage. Touchdown to interception ratio right now, I believe, is 3-1 right now when it comes to that. But Anthony Richardson's also added 4 rushing touchdowns through 9 quarters as well. And Derek, I think this game in particular was a really, really pivotal game for Anthony Richardson and his development because, you saw it on the sidelines, man. When the Colts were down, the big deficit they were down, Anthony Richardson was probably the most visibly upset we've ever seen him. He was so frustrated with the Colts' inability to do anything offensively. And you see what happens in the second half when, he comes out and he scores 3 touchdowns, 2 passing and 1 on the ground, and also completes 2 2-point conversions and puts the Colts right back in that game, gives them a chance, helps take it to overtime, and gives them a chance to win that game. And Derek, I know it's extremely early, but I would say through these 9 quarters that Anthony Richardson has played football, he has shown exactly what you were hoping for when you took him 4th overall, right? He's showing poise, he's showing playmaking, and he's showing that if he can stay healthy, Derek, this is only the beginning of Anthony Richardson's career in the NFL because this dude, whenever he's on the field, he's electric.
Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting game because you saw how, in that first half, especially of this last game, we saw how Anthony Richardson was definitely very noticeably upset, not just at the whole circumstance, but I think also just more upset at himself too, and upset at just the current situation they were in because clearly Richardson had missed some throws. Richardson was turning the ball over. Richardson was not getting the calls from the refs that should have clearly had been called. We saw after the Pittman didn't make that catch in the end zone because of the ref missing the face mask call, Richardson was livid. He was livid at the fact that they missed that. So it was definitely, we've seen times where he's noticeably looked upset, but he tends to have that issue of, or not really an issue, more of a time where he separates it and remembers where he's at. And he said in the post-game presser that he told the guys, let's just not focus on what the score is right now. Let's just try to get one play at a time. Let's just try to do one play at a time, and let's just try to get back into this. Let's not focus on the score. Let's just focus on where we're at right now. And that's a great mentality for a rookie QB who has very little experience at this, and especially at this level, to have that mentality of the moment is not too big for Anthony Richardson. We kept talking about it through the preseason. When we watched him play, it felt like when he got hit with adversity, he always seemed to just bounce back somehow. Just always seemed to make those few plays that are like, wow, that's Anthony Richardson right there. And we saw that again, Cody, when they were at the lowest of lows, when this team was about ready to give up. Anthony Richardson said, no, I'm not going to give up. We're going to go out there. We're going to bust it until we can try, and then we'll just live with the consequences. And sure enough, the results spoke for themselves. They were able to put together basically 3 second-half touchdown drives that put them right back in the game. And, with the help of a few tight ends, the help with a few catches from Alec Pierce and a few other guys, they were able to make some plays and enough of them to move forward. So it was a great test of when all hope seems lost, how did Anthony Richardson handle the stress of it? And yes, the stats were not great, Cody, and we'll all look back on it. And it stinks too, because it kind of dropped his it definitely dropped his completion percentage from a 64 to a 57, which definitely stinks. But at the end of the day, you saw Anthony Richardson make the plays that was necessary to keep this game alive.
Right, and I think that's exactly what the Colts were banking on. A quarterback like this who, Derek, let's be completely real. This is after this game, it's his 16th starting opportunity. His 16th game as a starter ever between college and the NFL. Mm-hmm. We all knew coming out, that was the biggest thing, was Richardson is inexperienced and he has some inaccuracy issues. So these things aren't new things to Anthony Richardson. But I think the biggest things, Derek, that you cannot teach, you can teach accuracy, you can gain experience. The biggest thing that you can't teach, which I think is a huge reason why the Colts took the swing at Richardson at 4, is what you just talked about, the mentality that he has, the way that he can help others rise to the occasion on the offensive side of things. And he did that. Anthony Richardson came in clutch when it mattered in this game, even when it seemed like you mentioned, things just weren't going the Colts' way. It seemed like there were some calls that you're just like, what in the world? But Richardson kept fighting, kept bouncing back, and started that belief, that this can actually be something that the Colts can do. Because, Derek, let's be honest, a year ago, if the Colts were down 23-0 at halftime, they ain't making that comeback. We know that.
Oh, heck no.
It's not even close to this game. It's a blowout in this game. And so Anthony Richardson, we know he still has a ton of flaws with being a 21-year-old quarterback, just turned 21, mind you. We knew he was going to have some issues early on. We knew he was going to have some of those inaccurate throws or times where you're just like, what are you trying to do there? That's not new to us, right? We knew what we were getting ourselves into with Anthony Richardson. But I think the early signs definitely are positive, Derek, in the fact that he's a guy that has clearly taken command of this offense. And clearly every time he's in the game, the Colts feel like they have a chance to be in it to the end. And you see a big reason why in this game, so many things were going wrong in this game that typically for the first 3 weeks, Derek, have gone pretty good. Like the offensive line, Blake Freeland making his first start at left tackle, just horrendous in this game. It seemed like he wasn't even attempting to block Aaron Donald at times. So he was constantly under pressure, constantly getting hit. The Colts couldn't run the ball to save their life in the first half. Now, Zach Moss, to his credit, started to get things going in the second half. But all these things were against him. And oh, by the way, the defense really had some struggles making some stops as well. So all these things were stacked up against Richardson. But what happened at the end of the day, he did what he needed to do to give the Colts a shot in this game, right? And that's the kind of stuff that you just honestly can't teach, Derek. You cannot teach that type of leadership. You cannot teach that kind of poise, right? Either you have it or you don't, and you can't just teach that stuff. It's not a coachable thing most of the time. It's just something that some guys are born with it, some guys aren't. And Anthony Richardson so far, like you talked about, when adversity strikes, Anthony Richardson has shown through the 9 quarters that he has played that he can be the guy moving forward. Because, again, this dude is still extremely raw in his NFL career, right? But I truly believe, Derek, that if Anthony Richardson can protect himself, which I'm sure he got a huge wake-up call after having to sit out last week because of the concussion, if he can protect himself moving forward, I don't think there's any question that this dude's only going to get better with time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's the biggest thing we have said is if Richardson is where he's at now as a rookie and he's already showing these flashes, we've said it for a long time, Derek, really ever since Anthony Richardson was drafted, It's like the biggest thing with Anthony Richardson and with the Colts season this year, and the Colts have even said it, right? It's not about the 2023 wins, although obviously we all love the Colts to win every game. But the biggest thing, if you were making me choose between winning 7 or 8 games with Gardner Minshew or maybe winning 5 or 6 games with Anthony Richardson, but Anthony Richardson looked good. I think we would say 10 out of 10 times you're taking the young quarterback making that leap and making those clutch plays, making those clutch throws down the stretch. When you need him to rise to the occasion, he rises to the occasion. So that's kind of my thoughts on it, man. There's just a lot of awesome stuff to see. While the stats don't necessarily, like you said, reflect it because it's not the greatest stats. He's not doing what CJ Stroud's doing right now. But, we knew this dude was wrong.
I mean, he's got more touchdowns than CJ Stroud through the first couple weeks. But, of course, obviously, from a passing perspective, CJ Stroud is by far and away doing better than Anthony Richardson. But I expected that, though, because, listen, and I could talk about Anthony Richardson's play and this team's play forever. And we might do more of that this week, talking about the team and about Richardson and everything else. We'll skip that for now. But, obviously, Richardson and Stroud are the best right now at what they're doing because Stroud, despite having the worst of the cast, is just he knows where to throw the football and he knows how to throw the football. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. I was telling y'all for 3 months after that season ended in 2022 that if you want the guy that can throw the football wherever you want it, throw it and give it to CJ Stroud. Anthony Richardson, though, what you see in Richardson is we've seen it through the first couple weeks already, Cody, is the big playability. He's electric. That's what he provides you. It's the best quarterback option we have since the beginning of 2021 when Carson Wentz was having his best time in the beginning of 2021. That's the last time we've seen quarterback play that good against a team as what we're seeing right now from Indianapolis. And this is the situation where you said it multiple times that Anthony Richardson's only going to get better. The statistics are not great, but he was still averaging over almost 20 yards per completion in this game. Ultimately, there's a lot of hiccups when it comes to this team because you're trying to get him to move forward with the offense. You're trying to get all these new pieces involved in a new system, and you have this offensive line that's struggling with injuries right now and a bunch of different things. And it takes a lot for a young quarterback to rise to that occasion and to excel beyond it. And that was the thing. I think the very vast majority, if not almost everyone, said that Anthony Richardson would not be a great quarterback to start out this year. And it's very safe to say that Anthony Richardson has by far and away been the second best. I'm sure some people could make the argument that he's the best one of all the rookies, but I think for me, second best so far, just because he hasn't been available for 1 week. And that is saying a lot for a guy that, again, everyone disclaimed as a guy that is not ready to lead an NFL roster. And it goes to show you again, his poise, his leadership, his mindset. It's exactly where it needs to be. And the great thing is even during all these losses that I'm sure the Colts are probably going to take, I'm sure that we all can agree they may end up having more losses than wins this year. It's going to happen. But at the end of the day, Richardson does a great job of remaining poised in the moments that matter. And then when it's time to learn from the next week, Richardson has that ability to do that. All in all, I'm really excited to see how Anthony Richardson has handled himself so far, because I'll admit it, and I said it last week, Cody, I did not think Anthony Richardson through this many quarters would already look as good as he has. And it's amazing to know that we most likely think that he's going to end up getting vastly better. And if it's vastly better than what he is right now, the NFL is going to be on notice.
If this is ground zero, if this is the worst Anthony Richardson will ever see, like, yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, we expected this. So it's kind of interesting how sometimes, the goalposts can be changed where, people can expect the Colts to go out there and, be a division winner or go out there and win 10 to 12 games. And at the end of the day, Derek, we've been saying it, and a lot of people have been saying it, like this year, the only thing that matters this year is if Anthony Richardson develops and if he is truly the guy and he proves to be the guy. Because, Derek, we've seen different quarterbacks that they've had to make decisions, and they've had to have choices on if they were going to lead this franchise and if they were going to respond. And we've seen guys. You mentioned Carson Wentz started out. He had some nice games, but down the stretch, he proved he didn't rise to the occasion. He sunk. Right. And we saw that with Matt Ryan last year. I know there were a lot of things wrong with the Colts last year, but Matt Ryan did not rise to the occasion when it mattered. And so, like, some of these guys, like, that just isn't in their DNA. They don't do that. And I know Matt Ryan's situation a little bit more tricky, but, it's really that kind of like, do you have it or do you not? And so far, Anthony Richardson, through two games that he has played the majority of the snaps, he has shown, yeah, he's raw. Yeah, he's inexperienced. Yeah, he's got to learn a lot. But also, yeah, he's dynamic. Yeah, he's electric. And yeah, he's poised, right? I mean, he has everything you want from a starting rookie quarterback. He's got the size. He's got the arm. He's got the mobility. And now we're seeing he's got the poise as well. So those things are so critical and so important because, Derek, how many quarterbacks have been taken in the top 5 that we've seen who just don't have it? They just don't have the poise that you need to be a franchise quarterback. And Anthony Richardson, through these couple games, he's already showing that moxie. He's already showing that, he can gut it out. He can grind it out, and he can be the guy moving forward. And again, if all goes well, if he stays healthy, you really do feel good about the team's future because for so many years you have swung and missed at the quarterback position, and you finally feel like you have some reason for optimism. And so regardless of how the season plays out, if the Colts don't win another game this year, but Anthony Richardson looks and continues to get better, looks like he did today in the poise department and continues to get better, I think you chalk that up to a win, Derek. I think you really would.
Yep, 100%. I mean, I don't know how. I know that there's a very small minority of Colts fans that still are not happy with Anthony Richardson, and I know that the majority of people, obviously in other fan bases, will tell you the exact same thing, but just go rewatch everything. I mean, there's no doubt that there's going to be hiccups along the way, but I mean, outside of, there's only been one other rookie quarterback through all of this that has risen to that level of excellence and has shown something within them to be like, oh yeah, this guy's got it. And that's CJ Stroud. So right. Stroud and Richardson are the only two guys that have shown you any kind of resemblance that their teams drafting them made the right decision.
Yeah. Derek, I know that Anthony Richardson is often compared to Josh Allen in terms of just his physical ability, the rawness coming out of college. I just want to pull up a stat here, Derek, for you on Josh Allen, because I've seen that comparison a lot when it comes to these two. And then again, thinking about Josh Allen, how much more experience did he have at Colorado coming out than even Anthony Richardson did at Florida? So Josh Allen, his rookie season, 2018, he played in 11 or 12 games. He started 11 games. He was 5-6, Derek. His completion percentage was 52.8. He had 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions.
I was going to say, it took like 3 seasons for Josh Allen to even get to the level that he's currently at. I mean,
oh yeah. No, but you see my point. Like, it takes time with these guys, especially the guys who don't, and they have physical tools, but they just haven't been properly developed yet. And for Richardson's case, it's a little bit different because he just, frankly, has not had the experience that a lot of these quarterbacks out of college have had. But even Josh Allen, who we would say is a top 3 quarterback in the league right now, you could argue that, right? Josh Allen took time. Some of these quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, he took time to develop. And these are dudes that had so much more experience coming out of college than Anthony Richardson. And so I think the fact that he's only played in 13 college games and 2, really full games of the NFL, yet he's showing the ability that he's showing already. He feels like he's breaking records every time he's out there for rookies. That is definitely a positive and encouraging sign. I mean, dude, I know it's often referenced, but Peyton Manning threw the most interceptions of a rookie ever. So we got to be patient with these guys.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're trying so hard to judge him based off of, we want to see him succeed by doing amazing numbers while also trying to limit the mistakes. Sure. And so far, there's been a lot less mistakes than there have been great plays by Anthony Richardson so far. And that's what you want to see.
Only one turnover so far, right?
Well, he's had 2. He's had 2. He had the 1 interception week 1 against Jacksonville and did have the 1 fumble today, which is fine. That happens. But I mean, it is what it is. It's going to happen. We know this because, again, Anthony Richardson is young. He's raw. He's got to learn from these mistakes. He has to. He just knows he doesn't realize fully yet that he's just in a different league now. He's just going to have to remind himself that, hey, if I'm going to get hit here, I need to protect this football, man. That's what it is, but at the end of the day, it's all good. 3 touchdowns to 1 interception, 4 rushing touchdowns to 1 fumble. That's a pretty darn good combination so far. And I'm sure that Anthony Richardson will probably get that fumbling correction fixed. Would not be surprised if they spend their off day doing some ball security drills with Richardson to ensure that he keeps 2 hands on that ball next time.
Absolutely. So, guys, let us know your thoughts on Anthony Richardson so far, his poise as the Indianapolis Colts quarterback, even though the Colts weren't able to complete the comeback on Sunday. Let us know your thoughts on Richardson's play so far through the 4 games the Colts have played. Let us know those things in the comments below. But that will do it for this one, guys. If you are still here, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so that you are in the loop when we drop more content like this. Guys, we are just continuing to add to the content as the season is now in full swing, and we will continue to do that. So hopefully you guys will be able to stick around and do it with us. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.